What's up guys, U29 back with you again. It is time to analyze this team. So, I've done these 3 Pokemon over like the last couple of days, and I've used them as a free-for-all team before, and I want to explain why it works so well. And I kind of then want to do a video after this where I want to take you through kind of my mindset when it comes to a free-for-all. Actually, I can kind of explain it now. Basically, the way I look at a free-for-all is I want to make sure that I'm not seen as the most threatening Pokemon on the field. I like using different sets and different Pokemon because sometimes there are times where you need to be the biggest threat on the field, and there are times though where you also need to be able to be the least threatening Pokemon. I guess, how can I explain it? So, the times when you need to be the most threatening is when you want to control the field. And that's where if you have like a really strong spread move, or there are a couple of guys that you could take out with one move and you know that they can't stop it, then they basically say, what can I do to make sure you don't kill me? And that's when you can start playing the mind games, if that makes sense. So okay, let's just break this team down. Minerva is a really good example of a Pokemon that can take a hit. So the opponent is aware that it can take the hit, and then against most grass types, it's going to scare them with the poison jab. Against most psychic types, that knockoff is really threatening. And Minerva just kind of demands pressure. And the thing that I find really good with this team is that your opponent's going to be thinking 2 things when they want to take this Pokemon out. They're thinking, okay, if it's physically defensive, I want to hit it with a special move because that would be the best way to take it out, right? Hell no, I have a special defensive Lapras ready and waiting for you because I'm Assault Vested. Oh, well, we know it's Poison Dark type. It's only going to be weak against Ground type moves. I should use those. Bitch, I got a Torterra. So this is why Minerva is covered really well, is because the 2 biggest weaknesses it has, its special defensive weakness and its earthquake weakness, are both handled by the 2 Pokemon in my team. So then we look at Franklin. Alright, what are Franklin's 2 issues that we talked about? So Ice type weakness is a big one. Boom, my name is Lapras. Second one that Franklin also can struggle to deal with is, as I said, like fighting types and those ones, hitting it hard. Boom, Minerva is there to take these physical hits that maybe Torterra can't take. And then finally, we have Lapras. Now, Lapras doesn't really worry about the special side of things. It has map covered most of the time. Or what if a Thunderbolt's coming its way? We have Franklin because it's a ground type. And what if any physical type moves are really coming to hurt it? We have a fully defensive Drapion. So, I'm not saying the strategy works 100% of the time, because there are going to be times where maybe you get predicted or double attacked and your Pokemon won't be able to take the hits. But it's meant to be basically a core of Pokemon that, if used correctly, can handle most of the threats your opponent will throw. However, there are other instances you have to think about. It's not always about switching your Pokemon. You have to try and think about what your opponent would do. Like, if you know that there is a Pokemon that could use Earthquake, but there are 2 flying types on the field and Minerva's there, is their best play to Earthquake the one Pokemon there? Or is their best play to try and, make plays on the other Pokemon they might not be able to hit? It's just trying to figure out, what the best possible play for the opponent is. If they just irrationally decide to kill you, then you can't do anything about it. You basically just get really confused, like, what the fuck, man, why'd you do that? But normally, you try and think, okay, what is their best play here? If you know that maybe the better play is to kill a bigger threat, then they do that, and then you become the bigger threat, but it's too late because you've already made the move that kind of ruins their plans. So, normally I'll lead with Minerva. I find Minerva's a fantastic lead for this team because it can draw in the Earthquake users, which gets me a frustration at Franklin, and it can also draw in those special attackers that Lapras can deal with. I find Lapras leading is just too vulnerable, and Franklin leading again is way too vulnerable. Minerva can handle any hit because 75 base special defense is actually not too bad. Most leads are physical attackers anyway, so Minerva can hold its own and then be able to kind of force players from there. So this is my way of kind of giving you guys an idea of how my teams work and how I want them to kind of go around against my opponent's teams. So the aim here is basically to have coverage. Okay, here's the thing. You're never going to have perfect coverage. Okay, there are going to be Pokemon out there, namely, I guess, against this team, Mamoswine, that can wreck it. Like, Mamoswine's a big problem. Another big problem is Abomasnow, I suppose. And again, Drapion does outspeed it and does have Poison Jab. But I'm just saying, there are Pokemon out there that will be able to rip huge holes through your entire team, okay? it'll happen. But the thing is, it's not a one-on-one, it's a free-for-all. So this team is built around bulky Pokemon that can take the hits and switch in and out with good recovery, bar Lapras, but it has Water Absorb. And they can go from there, and they can actually work really well and synergize as a team. I've won many a free-for-all on the back of these guys. Normally what happens is that Minerva and Lapras will take tons of hits, and then I just leave it up to Franklin in the end. Because I just scout what physical attackers they have left, try and leave them till last, and then Franklin comes in and cleans up. But this team really lets me down, and the thing is, not many of those Pokemon, when you look at them, are very threatening initially. I mean, when Franklin synthesizes, they say, oh, we gotta kill it, or it's gonna keep healing. Lapras is never really a threat, and Minerva is never really a threat. So this is just a way of me giving you guys an idea of how my free-for-all teams work, and the way that I try and set them up to win. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, comment on my channel. Would love it if you could do those things. Anyway, be good, guys. Duke29, signing out.